we improve our estimation process to ensure more accurate forecasting of sprint workloads? I get asked this a lot. Now, we need to get better at estimating. You suck. Accept it. Live with it. Enjoy it. Okay? When it comes to estimating, our brains do not play with us. They play against us. Okay? As human beings, most of us have a thing called the optimism bias. We have chemicals running around our brain that mean we genuinely believe it's going to turn out better. Despite our experience, despite any knowledge to the contrary, we know in our bones this time it's going to work out better. And if we didn't have that, well, we wouldn't be a species. We'd have stopped because it's not worth getting out of bed. Okay? So, when we're estimating, we've got to overcome this bias. And the fact that we don't know how long things take. So this one just fascinates me. Okay? When we ask people, particularly in terms of time, how long something took, they don't know. Unless they've deliberately timed it and they've put a stopwatch on and looked at it and said start and stop, they don't know. Because again, your brain is playing against you. It's editing your day. That thing that you thought was quite quick, you don't know, because your brain may have skipped over conversations you had, or that time where your brain wandered off and did its own thing for half an hour. All of this stuff, it recognizes isn't important. So it deletes it. And we've got to remember, your brain's idea of important is very different to your boss's idea. Your brain is there to keep you alive. So it edits based on survival. If you've driven home from work, I'm sure many of you will have that sudden realization. You've got no recollection of the drive home. None at all. You remember being at the office, you remember walking to your car, and now you're sat outside your house. And there's nothing in between. The likelihood is you were absolutely fine. You were fully conscious and aware all the way through the drive home. But nothing interesting happened. At no point were you threatened by anything unusual or, some of the drivers around here. Okay. So your brain just deletes it. It just goes, I've got loads of drives home, I don't need another one. Now, if something happened, your brain's going to switch on, it's going to alert you to it, and it's going to record that as an example of what could happen. So it can watch for it again and give you ideas about how to work through it. But very often you don't remember the drive home, not because you had some tragic brain problem, but because your brain knows you don't need it to live. The same is true in work. There is stuff that you do that you just have no idea how long it takes. And you can't, because you just do it. You just get through it without thought and suddenly it's done. It can be as simple as making a cup of tea. It can be speccing things out. It can be, in the development world, some of the simpler stuff that you've just coded stuff like this before. You've got no idea, you just type and it's done. Right? All of this can be edited on the fly by your brain without your conscious involvement. So when people are trying to get better at estimating, they are trying to override their brain. Okay? We can get more consistent. We can use it to learn. But I would also question really the value in that and the time and effort it takes for that. So instead, why don't we use the relative estimation techniques that the Agile world talks about? Because we've had bigger and smaller forever. Hey, this is bigger than that. How much bigger? Oh, it's kind of twice. Right? When we hook onto that, we don't get good. But we accept that it's all going to work out in the wash. Sometimes we're going to over, sometimes we're going to be under. But really, over a longer period, it will be fine. And now we can start taking that in, because your effort estimation, the sizing of your work, is going to give you a rough idea. And your ability as a team, in terms of its ability to deliver effort, is fairly stable. As a team gets fitter, more capable of using its tools, it will be able to take more work in, and the amount of stuff goes up. The time doesn't change. One of the problems with time estimating is just that. The effort stays the same, but we can do it faster. Right? The way that I explain this to many people in classes is running a 5K. Now, if you haven't run a 5K before, Fair enough, some of you will have, and you'll go out and say you take 40 minutes the first time you run a 5K. It's respectable beginner time. Okay, you get up, you put your shoes on, you go for a run. 40 minutes later, you've moved your body through 5,000 meters. Now, over the coming months, you're going to get better. Right? You're going to reduce that time, maybe you get down to 20 minutes, half the time. Are you going to have significantly changed your weight? No. Hopefully a few pounds drop off if that's what you set out to do. But running will bring you down to a healthy weight. And if you can run in 40 minutes, you're probably not going to lose a huge amount. At the end of the day, your skeleton doesn't slim up because you started running. But you've halved your time, and that little bit of loss in weight does not explain the difference. You're expending roughly the same energy to cover that 5K. You're moving roughly the same person through the same distance. How did we get better? Well, by running, we learn to run. I know it seems strange if you're not a runner, but you do need to learn to run. Where to put your foot, how to push, all of these things. You probably bought a decent pair of trainers. Your fitness, your VO2 max, your ability to process oxygen and things like that have improved because you're starting to exercise your body, you're using your lungs more, and therefore better. Your whole system, your whole body is learning how to run better. So it took the same energy to get from A to B, the same effort, but you did it quicker because you're fitter. That's really what we boiled all of that up into, isn't it? You're fitter. It's the same for teams. Don't worry too much about being better at estimating. Help the team become fitter as a unit. Right? What I want you to do as a Scrum Master is work with them so that they understand their tooling better. Can they use those tools to the best effect? Do they have a process that truly supports them and the conversations they have? Because if you do that, as a team, they're going to be fitter and healthier, and they'll be able to consume more work. The fact that the numbers are a little bit flaky up the front doesn't matter too much because you're demonstrably better. Okay? So if you're going out to improve your estimating to get more accurate forecasting, I would take a moment and just ponder that. Estimation is glorified guesswork. Forecasting is another name for glorified guesswork. You are trying to guess better about things that you don't know, and you can't know. The very nature of what we work in the complex space means that things aren't knowable beforehand. They're only knowable afterwards. So rather than focusing on getting better at doing something that you will never get good at, how about you focus on what you can control? Help your teams be fitter, stronger, more able to deliver. And that way, you're going to excel.